Number 10. Crashed car. 20 years ago, a man named William went missing in the state of Florida after visiting a nightclub, with seemingly no trace left behind and no way to find where he went. But 2 decades later, someone was on Google Maps when they noticed something strange in a pond. The man was surveying for bus routes for his work when he saw what appeared to be a submerged car near the edge of the water. He called his ex-girlfriend to take a look and see if there was a car in the pond, but she couldn't see anything due to the murky water, so she contacted her neighbor. The neighbor flew his drone over the water and confirmed there was a car, contacting the authorities. They were able to remove the vehicle and did find human remains inside, later identifying them as the body of William. He had apparently lost control of his car, but due to no one living in the area at the time, it went unnoticed for 2 decades, the dirty water keeping his car hidden for years. Number 9. Stolen bicycle. In 2008, a man was riding his bicycle through Holland when he was approached by 2 men who stole his phone, money, and his bicycle. Due to the lack of any leads in the case, the police were unable to help him with recovering his stolen things, until 6 months later. He was looking through Google Street View at the exact place where the event had taken place, and he couldn't believe what he was seeing. The Street View car had passed by and taken a photo mere seconds before the crime happened. The view shows the man on his bicycle and the 2 men right behind him preparing their attack. Thanks to this, he was able to take the evidence to the police, who easily recognized the 2 men as brothers who were well known by the justice system and had committed crimes before. Number 8. The Dock. You may recognize this image as it went viral on social media when it was discovered and posted to the website Reddit. It shows a dock in Holland which appears to have a blood trail that leads to somebody's body. The user posted it saying that someone had been killed by their house, and this was photographic evidence of it. People were in a panic trying to solve the mystery and figure out who the person was and how this event had come to pass. Fortunately, however, some other people took the time to look further into the image and really look at the details of what was going on. It was revealed that the 2 figures at the end of the dock were not a criminal and a body, but instead just a man and his dog. What many thought was a blood trail was actually just the result of the dog having gone for a swim in the water and then trailing the moisture down the dock as he walked, the color just being the color of the wood when it gets wet. Number 7. Stolen car. Now for another case of the Google Street View car being in the right place at the right time. A man named David had his car stolen right out of his driveway, and he probably felt like the unluckiest guy on earth because he had just bought this new car after his first one had been destroyed by a joyrider. But in actuality, he was pretty lucky. His son decided to look up their home on Google Street View, something I'm sure we all did at some point when we were younger, and when he looked at the driveway, he realized that the Google car had actually managed to catch the thief in the act of stealing the van, with a full view of his face and what he was doing. The police believed that the camera had managed to catch the man just moments before he drove off. After convincing Google to unblur the license plate so they could confirm the evidence, they were able to make an arrest on the crime 2 years after it had taken place. Number 6. Swiss farm. When you think of Switzerland, you probably imagine snowy mountains and alpine skiing resorts, and you probably don't picture people running around on beautiful green farms. But they are there, and one particular one was growing a lot of corn when they were found out for growing something else. I don't think I can say exactly what they were growing, but I think you get what I'm expressing here. Anyways, they were hiding this other farm behind rows and rows of corn to keep it hidden from view. Unfortunately, they probably hadn't considered Google Earth managing to snap a picture of it from above, revealing to the police their illegal side hustle. The discovery led to the arrest of 16 different farmers and the confiscation of over a ton of grass. The police admitted that they hadn't actually been searching for what they found and called it a chance discovery. Number 5. Robbery. In 2011, a woman had her home broken into in Oklahoma City. The robbers had weapons and prevented her from interfering while they ransacked the home, the whole event taking place in broad daylight. She said that the whole thing lasted for over an hour and she was devastated and terrified. More so when the police told her that there was no forensic evidence or other leads that they could follow up on to identify the criminals and bring them to justice. So if it all took place inside the home, how did Google Earth manage to catch what was was going on. Well, 3 years later in 2014, a friend was looking at the home on Google Street View when she saw a picture of two men walking down the street just outside the home. The men matched the description that the woman had given of the robbers, and with this evidence, the police were able to launch an appeal to get the case reopened and subsequently solved. Number 4. Tax dodging. During the 2000s, an Italian businessman attempted to carry out a tax evasion scheme, and he would have gotten away with it if it weren't for you meddling kids. The finance police discovered that the man had sold a villa in 2002, which was noted as having a specifically phallic-shaped pool. With this clue, they took to Google Earth to find the property and were quickly able to. It became clear when they saw the aerial view that the property was clearly worth much more, especially when compared to similar properties in the area. This then led to them checking into all of the man's dealings, including his bank account checks. These checks revealed various different omissions, which totaled to around 7 million euros of dodged taxes. I picked this one specifically because I think it's incredibly topical, with Shakira's hips recently being found out for lying about paying taxes as well. Number 3. 9 years. William wasn't the only case to be solved thanks to overhead imagery of a submerged car in a lake. In 2006, a 72-year-old man named David Niles walked out of his favorite bar in Michigan and was never seen again. A decade passed and no one had any clue where he went, his family eventually giving up any hopes of finding him. Almost 10 years later, a man was decorating his Christmas tree when he thought he saw something deep in the lake across the road. He took a look on Google Earth and it revealed the distinct shape of a car in the water, very similar to the image that revealed William's whereabouts. Cops were able to pull the car out and the remains of David were found inside, identified by his wallet. His son-in-law said, "For us today, it's a closure of a long search. Why God waited 9 years, I have no idea, but we're happy. It's good to have him home." Number 2. Blood Lake. In 2007, people who spent their time looking around on Google Earth discovered something that they felt was pretty startling. It's a lake in Iraq that is estimated to be 500 feet wide and around a half a mile long, and it's bright red. People immediately started speculating that this is from some sort of terrible crime, and it's a lake that has managed to be stained red by blood. Others suggesting that the color came about due to a butchery using it as a dumping ground. Innocent theories were that of a specific type of algae or pollution and chemicals changing the color of the water. Unfortunately, we will never actually know what caused the color, as if you look at the lake now, it's back to normal. I know this doesn't really count as a solved mystery, but maybe you know why it was red and you can let me know in the comments and you can be the one who solved it. Number 1. Secret swimming pools. While the majority of things on my list today have been individual crimes or reports, let me tell you about something that was discovered that was much more widespread. You may not know this, but in Athens, Greece, you need a special permit to be allowed to build a swimming pool on your land. And who the heck wants to pay for that? Reports show that there were only 324 pools in Athens, which investigators thought was just way too low a number. So financial crime investigators took to Google Earth to try and figure out the truth about what was going on. Within a few months, they had used the application to discover over 16,000 hidden and undeclared swimming pools on people's properties. The Greek government was cracking down on fraud at the time, and by tracking down the homeowners and collecting that pool tax, they were able to make a lot of cash. So if you're planning on hiding a swimming pool in Greece anytime soon, maybe consider a camouflage cover.
Starting off this countdown, we have When Duty Calls. I mean, when you gotta go, you gotta go. You would just hope that no one was around to catch you. Don't want an old lady walking her dog to run into you, popping a squat behind a bush and letting one go. And you really don't want a Google car to pass by and catch you in the act and then publish it online for everyone to see. Because that's actually what happened to this guy. Poor dude was trying so hard to be discreet and he just couldn't win. What's worse is that his company's vehicle wasn't blurred. So now if his work sees this, it's probably very easy to identify him. In our 9th spot today, we have the pentagram. The sigil of Baphomet is the official insignia of the Church of Satan. So of course many people consider the symbol to be satanic. Well, here we have what appears to be this symbol located on the southern shore of the Upper Tobol Reservoir. This symbol is massive. It's roughly 1,200 feet or 366 meters in diameter. Many people were wondering, what on earth is this for? Some say it's used for devil worship or sacrifices. Thankfully, it's not, but it's still something creepy. It is actually actually an abandoned Soviet-era camp. And I believe that the lines that we see that appear to be engraved in the earth are actually roads. What a great design, huh? In our 8th spot, we have the aliens. Are aliens real? Do you believe in them? Well, Google Earth seems to have captured this weird being on a balcony in France. See for yourself. Now, what on earth is that? Is it a weird statue put outside to scare away the neighbors or meddling kids? The dude's face looks like it could be the Crypt Keeper from Tales from the Crypt. Did they decide to take these pictures on Halloween? Like, I have so many questions. Or maybe it's a real alien. At this point, aliens probably do live among us, so we're all aliens. I'm an alien. In our 7th spot, we have the disposed bodies. Now, I don't know what's going on here. Was this an art project gone wrong? Did a clothing store shut down and they had to give away their mannequins? Or is this a scene from Goosebumps? There's something so creepy about these discarded mannequins. Like the fact that they're wrapped up. What if they're the works of a serial killer? I mean, think about it, okay? It's pretty clever to discard of a body that way. You wrap the cut up body parts to make it look like they aren't real body parts. Meanwhile, they are. Hidden in plain sight. Please don't get any ideas. I just have an overactive imagination. In reality, it probably just was an art project, just a very creepy one. The guy in the trunk. Now, I have multiple questions for this, and I really don't know if I want to know the answers to them. First off, why is this guy naked? Second, why is he in the trunk of someone's car? Like, are we witnessing a kidnapping, or is he escaping a kidnapping? Next, what's with the dog? It better just be taking a nap, okay? There's just so much going on in this picture. Let's just hope that he was intentionally naked and intentionally wanted to go lie down in his trunk for a bit, okay? Like, this could be used as inspiration for the 4th Hangover movie. We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with Handy Mandy. This next one is not PG-13, okay? As if that naked man was. But seriously, warning, the next one is for mature audience members only. Because we got 2 individuals getting frisky in some alleyway. The man can clearly be seen with his pants down, and the woman's hand is in that general direction, so you get what's going on. And if you don't, you're too young to be watching this. Looks like Google is out here ruining everyone's fun. How awkward would it be not only to get caught, but having an image taken of you getting caught and uploaded online? In our 4th spot, we have the creepy scarecrows. Located in a field in Finland, we have what they call the silent people, which are 1,000 scarecrows lined up in a field. This was done by the artist Riho Kila. No thank you. I'm sorry. I'd be too scared of them like coming alive at night or something. Also, the name the silent people, it's creepy. But hey, at least those will scare away the crows, you know, and anyone, for a matter of fact. Moving on to number 3, we have the mooning. In April of 2018, an English man named Toby Sullivan was out for a walk with his friend when he spotted the Google car. So he did what any normal person would do. He dropped his drawers and full-on mooned the camera. Now, I don't know what was running through his mind when he did this, but I definitely did not need to see his peach. Also, for the longest time, his buttocks was uncensored and people could literally zoom into his crack. Okay, it's a little TMI. But when the photo and Toby's story went viral, Google decided to finally censor this guy's behind. Thank gosh. But even with the censor, you can still fully see this guy's crack, so. Coming in at number 2, we have mowing the lawn. Here's another young lad that recognized the Google car and thought, now is my time to shine. This guy was out mowing his lawn when he spotted the car and decided to lift up his shirt and flash the camera. Even though his face is pixelated, you can see he's giving Google a funny face, a little ah, you know? I bet him and his family had a big laugh about that one. But seriously, that meant that every time someone looked up his place to get directions or whatnot, that image popped up. Boy oh boy. And in our number 1 spot today, we have the mannequins. We got more creepy mannequins, folks. This time we know for sure that they are mannequins and not just wrapped up dead bodies. So you may be wondering, that's an odd way to decorate your lawn. Where is this? A nuclear testing zone? No, this is a neighborhood in Santa Rosa, California. Apparently, a neighbor complained, probably a Karen, that this guy's fence was too high for the city's law. So the neighbors lowered their fence, but then in spite he decorated his yard so that his neighbors wake up every morning to this lovely view. I mean, there's no rules against having mannequins in your yard, so should've just let him have his high fence. That's what you get.
First up in our number 10 spot is the Kraken. The subject of many a superstitious sailor, this creature originated from Scandinavian folklore and is depicted as an aggressive, cephalopod-like creature capable of destroying entire ships and dragging sailors to their doom. Legends say the creature could devour a whole ship and its crew in its entirety, and if that didn't work, it would swim round the ship in circles to create a whirlpool, sucking the ship down into the deep, dark depths of the sea. Though it seems like a death sentence, many sailors would take the risk and approach the beast, as it said huge schools of fish would surround the creature, and I guess they just wanted to take their chances. And now, one Reddit user, Brave and Butter, believes they saw one on Google Earth. Their post explains that they are sure they're not the first to find this, but it seems to be some sort of Kraken. The spot in question is near a place called Deception Island in the Antarctic region. A little ironic, I know. And they theorize that the dark spot on the bottom left is actually the giant squid-like creature from a sailor's nightmares. I mean, to be fair, we do know of actual giant cephalopods that have been caught, though not the size told in the tales of the Kraken, but could the age-old folklore creature actually be real? We may never know. Next up at number 9, Nagoro. A teeny little rural village in the Aya Valley region of Japan. What makes this seemingly cute and quaint town a mysterious and creepy one is that it is famous for being filled with upwards of 350 life-sized dolls. Now, I don't know about you, but there are few things I find more terrifying than a creepy doll, and it's only made creepier when you find out that the entire village is only made up of about 27 residents. Apparently in the early 2000s, Sukumi Ayano, who'd moved away from the area when she was young, moved back once her father fell ill, and as a gift for him, she made her first doll in his likeness and placed it in a field. Since that day, she has made more than 400. But she isn't alone in this endeavor. Inspired by the initial doll for her father, many residents in the village followed in her footsteps and began making their own life-size dolls in their likeness or for their loved ones. And soon enough, even the school was joining in on the trend. Sadly, the school closed in 2012 due to the decreasing population. However, the dolls remain scattered across the village, growing in numbers as the years go by. Now, I mean, this is more strange in the sense of like, just why did they continue to place so many creepy dolls in one place? But hey, maybe that's just me. Coming in at number 8, a massive pentagram. In an isolated corner of Kazakhstan lies a dark symbol measuring roughly 1,200 feet that appears to have been literally carved right into the Earth's surface. Although you might not be able to fully see the symbol at ground level, from above the stark pentagram is clear as day. Conspiracy theorists have linked the cliffside pentagram to the Freemasons and Wiccans, believing that it is a site of animal sacrifice and satanic ritual, although this has never actually been confirmed. But I will admit it is a bit mysterious. Apparently there are almost no other signs of human habitation in the area, plus, you know, a giant pentagram etched into the Earth's surface isn't something you see every day, nor is it usually a great sign. So whether it is a cursed geoglyph from Satan worshippers or not, I would say it's a strange discovery nonetheless. Moving on to number 7, underwater pyramids. Located in the Bahamas, this photo found in Google Earth has left many thinking that they've discovered underwater pyramids. Now let me just be transparent and admit that this is a full conspiracy theory, but I mean that doesn't make it not an entertaining mystery. The main conspiracy surrounding the discovery of these alleged underwater pyramids is that they are living proof of the long lost city of Atlantis, or at the very least proof of some ancient Aztec civilization. But of course, there are others out there who claim these underwater pyramids all have to do with aliens. This mysterious structure is estimated to measure between 3.5 to 11 miles across based on the photos, although no one knows for sure as you can't get to the structure to see for yourself. If it is in fact a pyramid and the size that many believe it to be, it would be bigger than any pyramid ever built. But seeing as though no one can visit them, it might be a long while before we know if these pyramids prove any kind of extraterrestrial involvement on Earth. Moving on to number 6, UFO
UFO crash site. Whether you tend to believe in aliens or not, this one is pretty freaking wild. From what you can see on Google Earth, it appears that a flying saucer crashed in the plains of South Africa, and if you Google it today, you can still find it there. Now, a few things about this are unsettling. Around the UFO is a well-worn dirt path, which has led some to believe that aliens themselves could be hiding out there. Allegedly, no one has visited this location, and so I mean, how else would a dirt path have been formed if not by someone or something walking around the area? Plus, to top it all off, the top appears to be metallic from the area it's shot from, which is unlike any rooftops on other buildings in the area. And many conspiracy theorists are convinced it's a UFO. But no one has been able to explain once and for all if that's true or not. I mean, you tell me, what do you think you are seeing here? Moving on to number 5, Baker Lake. Up in a remote location of Nunavut, Canada, there is a seemingly innocuous place called Baker Lake that for some mysterious reason is not fully visible on Google Earth. In fact, if you do a quick search, there is actually a long black strip that covers a good chunk of the area, and as I'm sure you can imagine, it has garnered a terrifying conspiracy theory to explain why that is. The theory states that this black strip is actually covering extraterrestrial beacons that the government secretary brought down to Earth in 1972. The theory then goes on to explain that these top secret beacons exert powerful electromagnetic fields that disrupt Earth's natural energy grids, which in turn have altered the weather and have been used to focus the Earth's energy in undisclosed ways. Further, there are some out there who propose that because these alleged beacons are stolen space property, it has caused a massive war with aliens, hence the uprising in alleged UFO sightings. Now, in reality, we have no concrete evidence to back any of that up, but it is still a strange discovery that has yet to be explained. Moving on to number 4. A strange figure. Discovered through Google Earth in France, a strange pseudo-human figure was spotted standing on a balcony, and there have been many people with many opinions about what it could really be. I mean, it sort of looked like a person, but with very thin limbs, a large head, and bulging white eyes, so naturally, the internet went into a frenzy declaring it was a monster, a gruesome statue, a mummy, and of course there were the believers that it was an alien. However, even weirder was that shortly after it was discovered, Google quickly covered up the figure with a blurred box. This only made matters more intriguing. Why cover up something that you aren't trying to hide, many wondered. Were conspiracy theorists correct? Was this actually some kind of extraterrestrial species? Well, considering it's not visible anymore, we are not likely to find that out, but man, what a weird little situation. Moving on to number 3, the Eye. Several years ago, while he was scanning through Google looking for a location to film a documentary, director Sergio Nesperellum came across a strange formation situated in the northeast of Argentina. The formation in question was a fascinating island surrounded by water that had formed in a circular shape, hence the eye. But what was strange, or even unsettling, was that it was constantly moving and spinning around in circles. Now, while there are some scientific theories about why this is and how this strange little island was formed, truthfully, none have been able to definitively answer what is at play. Which, of course, means that paranormal enthusiasts as well as alien theorists have put in their 2 cents, claiming that some otherworldly entity is afoot. So until scientists are able to come up with a definitive explanation for how this was formed, why it floats, and what is going on, alien involvement is not off the table, at least according to some people. Coming in at number 2, Red Lake. First found in Baghdad, Iraq, Lago Vermelho in Sadr City is a lake that was normally a standard greenish-blue color, but for a time in 2007 suddenly appeared as a bright blood red color on Google Earth, which created quite the stir across the internet. At first it seemed so out of the question that many believed it was just a glitch, but in reality the lake really was red and no one understood why. Theories of the mysterious sighting ranged from a chemical spill or a red algae bloom to a particularly gruesome rumor that slaughterhouses near the lake had dumped a large amount of animal blood into it. However, the actual reason was never actually discovered. The good news is that the lake eventually returned to its normal state of greenish blue, but it still remains as one of Google Earth's many mysteries. And last up in our number 1 spot, major crime. It doesn't get much creepier than this, you've probably heard of this one, but back in 2009 in the Netherlands, a very creepy image appeared on Google Earth that had just about the entire internet wondering what the hell they were seeing. The image shows a pedestrian dock in Beatrix Park in the Dutch city of Almere, but the concerning bits are the long red trail of smears across the boards that end with what looks like a bloody body with a mysterious person standing by. Many people immediately jumped to the same conclusion. Did Google Earth actually capture someone being killed in broad daylight? Here's what we do know. Reportedly, there was no investigation or follow-ups on it, which would hopefully mean that a dead person was not what is being shown here. However, it's still a super creepy image. Some have suggested that the red trail isn't actually blood, but water staining, which appears red due to the color of the wood, and that the body is actually that person's dog who is going for a swim. But why don't you let me know what you think it is down below.
Starting off this countdown, we have the Half Moon Schooner yacht. This was a German racing yacht that was built in 1908 Germany. The yacht was built as a wedding present for Count Gustav von Böglin und Haubach. Yeah, that was his full name, what a mouthful. Anyways, the yacht was eventually seized by the British during World War II and resold to become a US cabaret boat during the Prohibition era. In fact, its original name was the Germania, but when it resold, it got named the Half Moon. But the yacht ended up sinking during a terrible storm in 1930. Now it lies at the bottom of the ocean near Key Biscayne, Florida. In fact, now it's a popular dive spot for snorkelers and divers.
In at 9, the SS Mahano. The SS Mahano actually has quite the interesting story. Originally a passenger ship, during World War I, New Zealand converted the vessel into a floating hospital of sorts. After the war though, it was returned to a passenger ship, which in my mind is kinda freaky. Yeah, this is a passenger ship now, but it used to house hundreds of wounded soldiers. Totally worth the ticket price. But I'm guessing the whole floating hospital thing kinda hurt sales, since the ship was sold to an Osaka shipbreaker company in 1935, who intended to tear it apart for scrap metal. However, the ship never made it to the buyer. A cyclone had severed the tow line connected to the Una, the ship that was doing the towing. You can now see the wreck on Google Earth on the beach of Fraser Island off the coast of Queensland, Australia. There was also a small crew on board that luckily survived, but if the ship was in such a state that it had to be towed, why was there a crew on it? Maybe it was to maintain the ship or something, but I mean, if it was gonna be used for scrap metal anyway, does it really matter?
In our 8th spot today, we have Costa Concordia. On January 13th of 2012, the Italian cruise ship Costa Concordia crashed into underwater rocks in shallow waters that they didn't see coming. The impact left damage to the ship and it started to sink. Eventually, it capsized completely and sank to the ground. The rescue took a total of 6 hours, and most passengers did make it back on shore. Sadly, 34 people lost their lives in this tragedy, 27 passengers, 5 crew members, and 2 rescue workers. The ship was unsalvageable, so it was left on the coast of Giglio Island in Italy, where it sunk. Images of the sunken ship have been captured on Google Earth. There are multiple photos of the ship laying on its side, and over the years you can see the ship become more and more deteriorated.
And at 7, the St. Christopher. The St. Christopher will likely spend the rest of its days, those days in a sense being eternal because it's a ship, in the harbor of Ushuaia in southern Argentina. The ship, as a part of the Land Lease Act, was an American-built rescue tugboat that served in the British Royal Navy during World War II. The Navy decommissioned it after the war and sold it to a man in Buenos Aires, Argentina in 1947. It was chartered for salvage operations but ran into engine trouble and rudder damage in the Beagle Channel by Ushuaia. The St. Christopher ran ashore in 1957 and was abandoned, with the remaining fuel being drained to prevent an environmental disaster. But not until 2004. Great hustle, gents. Nearly 50 years later, huh? Really got your priorities sorted. I guess I had you looking in the wrong section. How could I be so stupid? I really hope that that trend isn't dead when this goes out. it might be.
Coming in at number 6, we have the SS Jasm. This ship holds the title for one of the largest shipwrecks ever seen on Google Earth. The SS Jasm was a Bolivian cargo ferry that sunk on the Wingate Reef off the coast of Sudan. On the evening of December 1st, 2003, this ship sunk, and to this day, it is still unclear as to why it sunk. On Google Earth, you can see this big white ship laying on its side, in the same position where it capsized. Besides that, the ship remains a mystery. Now, it's another popular dive spot for scuba divers and snorkelers.
Halfway through in at number 5, the Garden of Eden. Now, I'm not a religious man per se, but I know the stories. The Garden of Eden was meant to be a utopia. Adam was placed here and told that he could eat from any tree aside from the tree of life and the tree of knowledge. They end up eating from the tree anyway and then are cast out of the garden. Well, in layman's terms at least. But there are many theories or ideas as to where this garden was on Earth. Some think that it wasn't on Earth, but multiple renditions place it in Iraq. One of them specifically claiming Basra as the location of the garden, which only makes this giant vessel off the coast even more intriguing. In the northwest section of Arvind Rood, you can see a capsized ship roughly 150 meters long and just over 50 meters offshore. And apparently this isn't the only shipwreck in Arvind Rood either. Just the only one that you can see, particularly from Google Earth.
Coming in at number 4, we have the SS Francisco Morazan. On November 27th of 1960, the SS Francisco Morazan left Chicago and headed out towards Holland. They had 940 tons of cargo aboard the ship. However, they never made it to their destination. By day 2 of traveling, they ran into a wild snowstorm. The wind speed was going 40 miles per hour, and as a result, water was being swept aboard the ship. Not only that, but they couldn't see anything. They were blinded by the snow and heavy fog. With their vision being impaired, they accidentally sailed their ship right into shallow water, trapping them by South Manitou Island. Now, the crew ended up abandoning the ship and it was just left there. The ship's owner never came forward and claimed it, so it was literally left there to rot. You can still see it today, just chilling in Lake Michigan.
Getting close to the end, and in number 3, Skeleton Coast. Skeleton Coast sits just north of Luderitz in Namibia, and was named thanks to the countless whale and sea bones that had once littered the shore, thanks to its whaling history. However, nowadays, it's more so home to the skeletal remains of shipwrecks that are commonly caught ashore by rocks and fog. The 976-mile long, or 1,570 kilometers for the rest of the world, Skeleton Coast is littered with shipwrecks, and that's due to, if you don't mind a little science, when the Atlantic's cold currents mix with the warm air of the Namib Desert, they end up creating a cold, dense fog. The kind that Scooby-Doo would like cut a burger out of using a dead pirate's sword and then eat. The burger, not the sword. According to BBC, the British Broadcasting Company, you crazies, the Khoisan Bushmen refer to Skeleton Coast as the land God created in anger, which is a whole other can of worms that I'm not gonna touch. Seems like a fun vacation spot though, if you want to get smitten by Chuck.
In our second spot, we have the MS World Discoverer, and sadly, this one did not get to discover the world. The MS World Discoverer was a Danish cruise ship that was constructed in 1974, and for over 25 years it changed ownership a number of times. That was until one day on April of 2000 when it took its last cruise. It was sailing in the Pacific Ocean when it struck an uncharted reef formation. Thankfully, all the passengers were rescued. The crew sent out a distress signal and a passenger ferry came to their help. All passengers were put on the passenger ferry. Now, before anyone could arrange to save the ship, it was actually ransacked and looted by locals. They then decided that saving the ship would be far too expensive and tough, so it wouldn't be worth it. So they left it there ever since. On Google Maps, you can see this ship just chilling on its side.
And finally, in at number 1, the Costa Verde. An avid UFO hunter looking for signs of alien activity on Google Earth believes that he had discovered 3 new shipwrecks. Scott C. Waring posted his discovery on the website UFOsightingsdaily.com, which usually features details of alleged UFO or alien sightings. A website that I didn't know existed until now, but I'm definitely gonna have to look it up later. The alien hunter highlighted 3 dark boat-shaped objects in the shallow area off the coast of Costa Verde, which is a really weird thing to say, but in Mexico. He posted on May 4th, 2017, quote, "You know me, always searching for the hidden mysteries of life. Well, today I stumbled upon something that's not a UFO, go, but is still absolutely amazing due to its size. One wreck, the first on his list, was 138 meters long, which is more than half the length of the Titanic, which you are also able to find on Google Earth, but you have to type in the coordinates to where it's sunk. You can't actually see the wreck. Here's the coordinates if you want to look it up for yourself. It should be here somewhere. He also found a 61 meter long ship and a 12 meter long fishing boat in the same area, which makes me think maybe he did find evidence of aliens. Oh.
Starting us off at number 10 is a massive pentagram. In an isolated corner of Kazakhstan lies a dark symbol measuring roughly 1,200 feet that appears to have been literally carved right into the Earth's surface. Although you might not be able to fully see the entire symbol at ground level, from above, the stark pentagram is clear as day. Conspiracy theorists have linked the cliffside pentagram to the Freemasons and Wiccans, believing that it is a site of animal sacrifice and satanic ritual, although this has never actually been totally confirmed. But I will admit, it is a bit mysterious. Apparently, there are almost no other signs of human habitation in the area, plus, you know, a giant pentagram etched into the Earth's surface isn't something you see every day, nor is it usually a great sign. So whether it is a cursed geoglyph from Satan worshippers or not, maybe it's just better to play it safe and steer clear. Coming in at number 9, a hill of crosses. Found on top of a hill in northern Lithuania is a site that, depending on your own personal beliefs, could either be considered a thing of beauty or one of the most strange things in the world. The Hill of Crosses began popping up back in 1831 following the Polish-Russian uprising, and over the years it has grown to host nearly 100,000 crosses, crucifixes, rosaries, and religious carvings. As generations pass and the collection grows, the place has come to signify the peaceful endurance of Lithuanian people despite the threats they face throughout history. Now, that part is lovely, I can't deny. But also, I know I'm not alone in seeing a hill filled with an overflowing amount of religious symbols and feeling a little uneasy. Since, you know, usually that many in one place is to ward off some kind of evil. That being said, maybe it really is nothing but a beautiful display and a symbol of their endurance. But are you willing to go and find out yourself? Coming in at number 8, Nagoro. A teeny little rural village in the Aya Valley region of Japan. What makes this seemingly cute and quaint town a mysterious and creepy attraction is that it is famous for being filled with upwards of 350 life-sized dolls. Now, I don't know about you, but there are few things I find more terrifying than creepy dolls, and it's only made creepier when you find out that the entire village is only made up of about 27 residents. Apparently in the early 2000s, Tsukimi Ayano, who'd moved away from the area when she was young, moved back once her father fell ill, and as a gift for him, she made her first doll in his likeness and placed it in a field. And since that day, she has made more than 400. But she isn't alone in this endeavor. Inspired by the initial doll for her father, many residents in the village followed in her footsteps and began making their own life-size dolls in their likeness or for their loved ones, and soon enough, even the school was joining in on the trend. Sadly, the school closed in 2012 due to the decreasing population. However, the dolls remain scattered across the village, growing in numbers as the years go by. I mean, visit it at your own risk, but don't say I didn't warn you about a village filled with 400 creepy dolls. Coming in at number 7, the Parikala Sculpture Park. Similarly to the Village of Dolls, this garden was created by a self-taught recluse artist named Viho Ronkonen, and this exhibit is definitely one of the more haunting things I have come across. Born in 1944, Ronkonen began working at a nearby paper mill at the age of 16. And as the story goes, he used his first paycheck to buy apple seedlings and a bag of concrete. And so his eerie sculpture garden began. For the next 50 years, he continued to add to his collection. So much so that by the time he passed away in 2010, there were 550 completed concrete sculptures adorning his property. However, these statues are very interesting, often placed in extremely odd positions. For example, one of the most strange parts is the 225 naked yogi section. However, they are not the only ones that give off a creepy vibe. Some of the statues sport human teeth, which makes me feel very worried about where he found those, while others were created with a speaker placed inside them that omits incomprehensible sounds. I mean, top to bottom, it's just all a very strange little place. Coming in at number 6 is Snake Island. Found off the coast of Brazil in the Atlantic Ocean is an island that I am warning you now to never visit. Quite literally, the place of nightmares, this island is home to the critically endangered golden lancehead pit viper, who became trapped on the island thousands of years ago at the end of the last ice age. Apparently, as the ocean levels were rising due to the melting ice, this island became disconnected from the mainland, which in turn forced the snakes to adapt to a new environment, eventually increasing their population to such a high degree that the island was rendered entirely too dangerous for public visitation. Now, I bet you're wondering, there are tons of venomous snakes everywhere. Why is this place so different? Well, for starters, it is pretty small as far as islands go, measuring only about 106 acres, but it's also home to upwards of 4,000 snakes, each weaponized with a venom so deadly that it can actually melt human flesh. In case you're wondering, that is roughly 1 snake per square meter, or 10 feet. So with that many snakes trapped on an island that small, there is pretty much nowhere you can escape from them. Coming in at number 5, Hashima Island. At one point in time, this small island off the coast of Nagasaki was a huge mecca for undersea coal mining. However, due to a number of atrocities committed during World War II, it now lies an abandoned island, void of all inhabitants, but filled with many ghosts from its past. It all started when the island was purchased by the Mitsubishi Group in 1890, and they began extracting coal from the undersea mines. By 1916, business was growing, and so they began building infrastructure to house the miners and their families, and over the next 50 years, the small island city continued to grow. However, it all started to go down south around 1930, when the company began pushing conscripted Korean civilians and Chinese prisoners of war into forced labor under very harsh and dangerous conditions paired with brutal treatment. Due to the labor conditions, an estimated 1,300 of these conscripted workers died on the island, either by underground accidents, malnutrition, or exhaustion. This treatment continued despite the rising death toll until the late 1960s, when the petroleum industry began turning coal essentially obsolete. Finally, by 1974, Mitsubishi closed the mine and the island was cleared indefinitely. Now a literal ghost town filled with decaying buildings to match, it's believed that all the souls who lost their lives remain haunting this city to this day. Coming in at number 4, the former Sansi UFO houses. When construction on these peculiar houses began in 1978, they were marketed to be vacation resorts for US military officers coming from their East Asian postings. But as you might notice, they have an extremely futuristic look to them, hence why they got the nickname UFO houses. However, the bubbly pod-like architecture wasn't the only strange thing about these houses. A mere 2 years after construction began, the project was abandoned and never finished due to several car accidents and a number of construction workers who took their own lives on the job. This of course caused a huge loss on the investment, and they were forced to end the project. The plan from there was to tear down all the buildings, despite a major public pushback, and eventually in 2010 all the UFO houses were demolished. But of course, this still didn't answer the mysterious question on everyone's mind. What was behind all this tragedy, and why were they so hell-bent on destroying the buildings? Well, there are a few theories. Some believe that the site was the former burial ground for Dutch soldiers, and that the workers had been cursed during construction, while another Another theory claims that the tragedies were due to the bisecting of the Chinese dragon sculpture located near the resort gates. And of course, the shape of the buildings drew in conspiracy theorists who claim aliens were the reason for death, and that they could have threatened the company to tear it down. To be honest, no one knows why it all happened, but it's still considered a haunted place, so you better steer clear just to be safe. Coming in at number 3 is Vaz Island. Way back in the 1920s, the Red Army began searching for a discreet place to build a military complex for inventing, producing, and testing biological weapons. They wanted something small and far away from the Soviet borders so as not to draw attention, and eventually by 1948, such a place was found. Almost immediately, a top-secret Soviet lab began testing agents such as smallpox, anthrax, and plague, among others. However, what they didn't see coming was that the island, once split between Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan, would begin to grow in size once the Aral Sea began drying up in the 1960s. Then fast forward to 1971, and a weaponized smallpox was accidentally released from the lab, infecting 10 people, 3 of whom lost their life. And by the 1990s, the secrecy of the lab got compromised, and all island inhabitants were evacuated, leaving the base completely abandoned by 1991. However, in their haste to leave, many of the containers were not properly destroyed or sealed, and so over time, these containers began to leak, contaminating the grounds for decades. Now, the good news is that by 2002, a lot of the sites were decontaminated, but many areas still remain contaminated, and it's still one of the most feared and deadly places in the world. Coming in at number 2, North Yungas Road. Also hauntingly referred to as Death Road, the Yungas Road is a 60-kilometer long stretch found in Bolivia that I would highly recommend you don't take your chances with. As you can imagine, you don't get the nickname Death Road without having a reputation that precedes you. The original road was built in the 1930s by the forced labor of Paraguayan prisoners, and up until a new route was built back in 2006, it was pretty much the only way to go from region to region. During this time, the route became notorious for its dangerous conditions and rising death toll, on average facing 209 accidents per year, 96 of which resulted in death. However, some years were worse than others. In July of 1983, a bus fell from the road into the canyon, killing more than 100 passengers. Then later, in the mid-90s, the road was averaging 1 victim per day. Even in 2011, there was a total of 114 accidents and 42 deaths. Nowadays, the death road is restricted to purely cyclists, and cars must now use the new route. However, that doesn't mean it's still not just about the most dangerous road in the entire world. And last up in our number 1 spot, Bikini Atoll. A tiny ring of small coral islands is located in the Republic of the Marshall Islands. Bikini Atoll is a beautiful area with a dark and unfortunate backstory. You see, in the midst of World War II, after the nuclear attacks on Japanese soil took place, the American Army didn't waste much time before planning additional nuclear testing. Then in 1946, after deciding on the small area of Bikini Atoll, the military went ahead and forced the entire population to evacuate to neighboring islands so that they could carry out their nuclear testing. For the next 12 years, between 1946 and 1958, the United States detonated 23 nuclear devices at the site, including 20 hydrogen bombs, one of which was said to have been more than 1,000 times more powerful than the weapon dropped in Nagasaki, while another caused a giant tsunami, sinking several ships. Now, of course, there was not quite the same understanding of the lasting repercussions these tests would have. However, nearly a century later, and the island is still unfit for proper habitation due to the radiation and damage caused by these tests. So tragically, the residents that were promised to be relocated back to their home were never able to return. And if you ever get stranded there, you certainly won't last long.
At number 10, we have 36 degrees north, 117 degrees west, Death Valley, USA. One of the worst spots in America to get lost on a hiking trip. Now, thanks to air-conditioned cars and cell phones, most people won't meet their end in this wasteland, but back when pioneers had to cross this desert, it was one of the most challenging tasks imaginable. If you were caught out there without supplies, you would last less than a day. Either dehydration, sunstroke, or one of the many predators living out there would make you meet your end faster than a pizza pocket when I'm drunk. Death Valley has the highest recorded temperature on the planet, clocking in at 57 degrees Celsius. The whole joke about being hot enough to fry an egg on the sidewalk is real there, except it won't be an egg, it will be your intestines as a vulture rips them out of your stomach. And if you manage to make it through the day into the night, the temperature will plummet. In the winter, it can get as cold as minus 10 Celsius. As beautiful as the desert can be, I don't think I would want this to be my next vacation spot. If you're ever traveling through there, make sure you bring a ton of water and some blankets just in case your car breaks down. That would suck. At number 9, we have 25 degrees south, 153 degrees east, Fraser's Island, Australia. Australia is a beautiful place. It's like hot Canada with more fighting and beer. Honestly, I've never been there. I'm just basing it off of movies and TV. I'm really stereotyping you guys. I'm very sorry. But globally, Australia is known for housing some of the most dangerous creatures on the planet, and Fraser's Island is considered the most dangerous place in Australia. It's basically a funnel for several different dangerous species. To start it off, there are two types of jellyfish which are common to Fraser's Island: Irukandji and blue bottles. Both of those jellyfish have stings so severe that they will send you to the hospital. And if the waters weren't dangerous enough, this is also a hotspot for young great white sharks. I'm assuming they go to these beaches for biting practices. They want to get their reflexes nice and sharp before they chase down some surfers. So you might be saying to yourself, well, I'll just stay out of the water and I'll go explore the island. Well, there are packs of wild dingoes running around waiting to turn your tibia into a chew toy. Oh, and if you get attacked by any of these wild animals, there is zero medical services on the island. So you better hope you don't bleed out fast while the helicopter is zooming you to save your life. At number 8, we have 12 degrees north, 57 degrees east, Danakil Desert, Ethiopia. We're jumping back into the heat, and with winter just around the corner, this place makes me kind of jealous. I know that temperatures in deserts are high enough to kill someone, but I think it might be nicer than having to wait for a bus in the snow. Anyways, the Danakil Desert, also known as the Danakil Depression, is one of the hottest places on the planet, and because of its extreme heat, it's home to natural wonders. First, there is a decent amount of volcanic activity. This might be one of the only places on Earth where you walk into the desert to cool off. There's also mysterious salt pools. These are one of the largest tourist attractions in the area. Salt deposits build up on the sides of these pools, and the water is packed with sulfur. The salt has the aesthetic of a rimmed glass straight from nature's cocktail lounge. However, don't drink from one of these pools unless you want a slow, painful death. And I think we can agree we're all looking for swift and numb when it comes to dying. The pools are extremely poisonous. Even the air just above the pools is so packed with carbon dioxide that when small animals get too close, they will suffocate and die. And here's the cherry on top of the sundae, this place is nicknamed the Gateway to Hell. Wow. Beautiful. At number 7, we have 37 degrees north, 59 degrees east, Fukushima, Japan. For anyone who is unaware why Fukushima is a place you do not want to visit, it is home to the second largest nuclear disaster ever. In 2011, a major earthquake hit Fukushima, damaging a power plant, causing the city to evacuate. Since then, no one has been allowed to return, and the situation has improved, but it is not looking great. In order to keep the core cool of this power plant that melted down, they are constantly pouring water on top of them. This water is then contaminated with radiation, obviously, and they must contain it so it doesn't spread. But they are running out of places to put this contaminated water. Also, the city is now overgrown with vegetation. With the absence of people, the forests have started to reclaim what was rightfully theirs. And with it has brought a little bit of wildlife. I talked about this in a previous video, but I wanted to mention again because this is actually crazy. Radioactive wild boars have come into Fukushima and are thriving. For whatever reason, they do not seem to be afraid of radiation, and they are staking their claim on the land. This is how monster movies start. Next thing you know, we're gonna have giant mutant pigs swimming across the Pacific Ocean, coming here to eat the West. At number 6, we have 2 degrees south, 36 degrees east, Lake Natron, Tanzania. From a distance, this lake seems like a bronze wonder. The color and stillness looks like something pulled right out of a travel magazine. But this is the last lake you would want to take a swim in. There is only 3 things that have managed to live in this lake. One species of fish, one type of flamingo, and some algae. Everything else that touches this water dies extremely fast. Why is that? Well, the pH in the lake can sit around 9 and sometimes stretch up to 10.5. The animals that call this place home have adapted to the harsh conditions. But let's say a bird unfamiliar with the area decides to take a dip. Their eyes and skin will be burned from the high pH levels, and the ending result will look like they've been hit with Medusa's gaze. At number 5, we have 44 degrees south, 71 degrees west, Mount Washington, USA. Alright, we did a couple places in the excruciating heat, and now it's time to head into the bitter cold. Mount Washington is freezing, and it has temperatures that can reach 40 below. Fun fact about 40 below, that's where the two scales of Celsius and Fahrenheit meet. You can share that with your friends next time you're freezing to death in the -40 weather. I'm sure they'll love that little tidbit of information while their nose peels off. And if the brutal cold wasn't enough to make you want to avoid this place, it also has the fastest winds ever recorded on a mountain. 238 miles per hour. That's over 300 kilometers per hour. That's stronger than a Category 5 hurricane. The wind is so strong it will give your face freezer burn right before it rips it off and sends it hurling down the mountain. At number 4 on the list, we have 24 degrees south, 46 degrees west, Snake Island, Brazil. I didn't make this place up. I know it sounds like something pulled out of a cheesy low-budget 80s action movie, but it's real, and it has enough snakes living there to make the cast of The Real Housewives for decades. There is one snake for every square foot. I don't have a fear of snakes, but there's still no way I'm going to get close to this place, especially since almost every species on the island is extremely venomous. There's even rumors that snakes will swim off the island to boats that are too close and kill the people on board and then eat them. I even heard there's a symbiotic relationship with the birds on the island and the snakes on the island, where the birds will pick up the snakes and then drop them on people who are on the island so they get like an air attack and kill them. That one I made up. I just kind of wanted to hype up the story a little bit more. But your real biggest worry is about getting bitten and then having to ride in a boat back to the mainland to go see a doctor. It's a 90-kilometer trip, so you would probably be dead before you got anywhere close to any sort of medical attention. At number 3, we have 3 degrees north, 98 degrees east, Sinabung Volcano, Indonesia. I mean, who wouldn't want to live right next to an active volcano? It seems like a swell place to raise a family. But you guys are probably wondering, well, you can live next to an active volcano, but that doesn't mean it's gonna blow up all the time. Well, between the years 2010 and 2016, Sinabung has popped off 5 times in 6 years. That is crazy. This place has blown up more times in 6 years than Conor McGregor has fought. And he is a professional fighter. I hope he doesn't find me and kick my ass. I don't know, that could happen. I'm sure it's a beautiful place, but it would be hard to tell with all the constant lava flowing through it. This volcano is part of the Ring of Fire, which is a string of volcanoes lining up with tectonic plates that erupt more often than usual. So I'm not eager to check this place out, but you guys can go for me. At number 2, we have 25 degrees north, 70 degrees west, the Bermuda Triangle. Any kid growing up in the 90s heard about the Bermuda Triangle again and again. It was the plot point in every show from Scooby-Doo to Jackie Chan's Adventures. Yo, remember Jackie Chan had a cartoon and it was absolute fire? That cartoon was so good. Anyways, the Bermuda Triangle is a large chunk of the Atlantic situated between Florida, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico, and has been a hotspot for people disappearing. Planes, boats, rescue missions all have vanished without a trace, and it leaves people baffled as to what is going on. Some people think it's a hotspot for storms to kick up, other people say there's magnetic forces that destroy navigation equipment. The crazier theories suggest that the Bermuda Triangle is a gateway for interdimensional travel, that aliens use this to fly across the universe in an instant. Even though there's a lot of disappearances from this area, many of them have been explained, but there's still a ton of cases that leave people wondering what's going on in this mysterious chunk of ocean. I don't know why I did that tongue thing at the end. And number 1 on our list is 40 degrees north, 58 degrees east, the Darvaza gas crater, Turkmenistan. Right off the bat, this place is nicknamed the door to hell. It has an even creepier nickname than that other hell place. Not the place you want to spend your honeymoon, unless you're both super metal, then it's probably like a great choice. Turkmenistan has a massive natural gas reserve, and that has been the fuel to the door to hell. It was back in 1971 when Turkmenistan was still part of the Soviet Union. There was construction underway, and a drilling operation caused a large amount of the earth to collapse in. And what started flowing out of it? A toxic gas. If it wasn't dealt with quickly, it would have poisoned the entire area. Good news though, the gas was flammable, so the Soviets figured, we'll just light it on fire, it'll burn for a little while, and then we'll get back to work, comrade. Well, it did catch on fire, and then it did burn, but it never stopped. It has been burning since 1971 and has no sign of going out anytime soon. And if a giant pit of fire wasn't enough to keep you away, Turkmenistan is run by a dictator. Have a nice vacation.
Starting off this countdown, we have Antarctica Island. Located in Alaska, sections of this island are blurred out on Google Maps, and no one really knows why this is. But it may have to do with the nuclear testing that once took place there. From the 1950s to the 1970s, Antarctica Island was the site of US underground nuclear testing. Nowadays, they are running tests to see if the island has any radioactive leakage there. If there isn't, then in 2025 it could become a wildlife reserve. But again, why is half of the island blurred out? Maybe that's the section where the nuclear testing took place. But why is it still blurred? A lot of people think that the military is doing some suspicious illegal activities there and that's why. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. In our ninth spot, we have 2207 Seymour Avenue. And if you guys are liking this video so far, then make sure to give it a big thumbs up. 2207 Seymour Avenue, located in Cleveland, Ohio, is a home where a horrific crime took place. From 2002 to 2004, Ariel Castro kidnapped 3 young women: Michelle Knight, Amanda Berry, and Georgina De Jesus. He kept them captive in his home until 2013, when Amanda Berry escaped with her daughter and contacted the police. The police came to his house and rescued the other women. Castro was arrested within hours. He was sentenced to life plus 1,000 years in prison without parole. Due to the disturbing crimes that took place at his home, Google Maps decided to blur his house. In fact, the house has been named the House of Horrors. But a couple years back, his house was demolished to help the victims move on from their traumatizing past. Coming in at number 8, we have the French nuclear facility. The Arriva-La Hague nuclear fuel reprocessing facility in France is another place that is blurred out on Google Maps. This facility opened in 1976 and is responsible for treating nuclear fuel from several countries. Here's the thing though, this facility hasn't always been blurred out. By using the Google Earth History tab, you can see old Google Earth images of this facility. So now, why all of a sudden is it blurred out? What is going on there? Well, it may have something to do with the controversy it has received and the backlash it received from Greenpeace. Since 1997, Greenpeace has been trying to shut it down, saying that they dump 1 million liters of liquid radioactive waste per day in the ocean. That is severely messed up if that's true. Maybe that's why it's blurred out, so that people don't see what they're really up to with their nuclear waste. Moving on to number 7, we have the French prison. There are a number of prisons that are blurred out on Google Earth, including the Beaumet prison in Marseille. Now, why do they blur out images of prisons? Well, a couple of reasons. One, for privacy. But the main reason is so that the criminals don't know the layout of the prison. Basically, this prison wasn't always blurred. Following a successful jailbreak, France's Minister of Justice was like, why are there aerial images of this prison available online? And then that led to the prison getting blurred. But of course, you can still find older images of the prison on Google Maps that show what it looks like and its layout. In our 6th spot, we have the Antarctic ice shield. This is another pretty strange place to get blurred. But basically, halfway between Australia and Madagascar, there is a 22-kilometer long blur in the middle of the Antarctic ice shield. I mean, this place is one of the most isolated places on Earth. There's nothing but ice and penguins there. So why is it being blurred out? We don't know for sure, but people think that there is something hidden there that we're not allowed to see. Although it's thought to be owned by Australia, theory goes that Russia or the US have built a research facility there. The only way we'll know for sure is by visiting the place itself. So who's coming with me for this field trip? It'll be a lot of fun. Come on, just pack a snowsuit and lots of hot packs. We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with Mururoa Island. Located in French Polynesia, this island was first used for nuclear testing in 1966 by France. These tests apparently took place until 1996. That's when the French president shut down the facility. Why? Well, Greenpeace found out that these tests were polluting the water as far as Peru and New Zealand. In fact, many locals in Tahiti have claimed they have been affected by the radiation from the tests. Nowadays, the island is off limit to visitors and is guarded by French forces, which is probably why half of the island is blurred on Google Maps. Or maybe it's because they're still doing these nuclear tests. We may never know. Moving on at number 4, we have Elmira Correctional Facility. Elmira Correctional Facility, also known as The Hills, is a maximum security state prison in New York. This is another facility blurred on Google Earth. Why? Well, a number of reasons. 1, they have fears of an aerial attack. Number 2, they have fears that someone will use this information to plan an escape. And number 3, the prison is highly secure. Why would they want images of the building online for everyone to see? But it turns out that this location got blurred after a number of riots and mass escapes. Moving on at number 3, we have North Korea. Okay, is it even shocking that North Korea has sections of its country blurred? I mean, they are so secretive, so this isn't a surprise at all. Now, the area that is blurred is along the country's western shore. So people have thought that they are hiding something there, maybe a secret military project. Who knows? I mean, hey, the country is hiding so many things. Like I said, this one doesn't really come as a surprise. In our second spot, we have Pateo de los Naranjos. Located in Spain, this place translates to orange tree yard, and it is completely censored on Google Maps. No matter how close you try to zoom in on the map or the area close by, you won't be able to see anything. Why? Well, there's a lot of government buildings located there, so it's blurred out for security and privacy reasons, which makes sense. Many government or military buildings are blurred out on Google Maps for similar reasons. And in our number 1 spot today, we have Jeanette Island. Located in Russia, this island is said to contain a secret Russian military base. If you type this island into Google, you'll find a whole lot of nothing. Legit, it just looks like a bunch of water. It's not even registered on Google Maps as an island. When you type in its coordinates, you will see a message that says this island is unavailable. Now, before it was removed from the maps altogether, it wasn't even blurred out. It was actually blacked out. Like there was a full-on black mass just covering it. But when you zoomed in, you could see this icy mass, and that's all. According to Reddit user Exoplanetary Science, he said, and I quote, "Google rarely blacks out without reason. A search through Google Earth shows that this has been permanently blurred out, even in images dating back to the 1980s. I'm going to guess there's a concealed Russian military base located there, and possibly quite a substantial one." So, there you have it, folks, a secret Russian military base.
Starting us off at number 10, the Kraken. The subject of many a superstitious sailor, this creature originated from Scandinavian folklore and is depicted as an aggressive, cephalopod-like creature capable of destroying entire ships and dragging sailors to their doom. Legends say that the creature could even devour a whole ship and its crew in entirety. And if that didn't work, it would swim around the ship in circles to create a whirlpool, sucking the ship down into the deep, dark depths of the sea. Though it seems like a death sentence, many sailors would take the risk and approach the beast, as it said huge schools of fish would surround the creature, and I guess they wanted to take their chances. And now, one Reddit user, Brave and Butter, believes they saw one on Google Maps. Their post says, quote, "I'm sure I'm not the first to find this, but it seems to be some sort of kraken. The spot in question is near a place called Deception Island in the Antarctic region, and they theorize that the dark spot on the bottom left is actually the giant squid-like creature from A Sailor's Nightmare." I mean, to be fair, we do know of actual giant cephalopods that have been caught, though not the size told in tales of the Kraken, but still, there could be some truth here. What do you think? Next up at number 9, Kentucky Beast. Off Highway 119 in Bell County, Kentucky, a few friends posted online saying they saw an inhuman creature right where, quote, "the Christmas store used to sit on 119 outside of Callaway on the right side of the road in the field with all the white cows," which sounds like a very specific location. According to the Google Maps details, the cryptid was some kind of large gray creature with the head of a man and unusually sized paws that left huge prints in the area. So yeah, not something you plan to see on the highway. According to the description, some people think they could have seen some kind of dog man, but honestly, who knows? From the sounds of it, it doesn't seem like they stuck around long enough to get a good look at this mysterious beast, and you know what? I don't blame them. Whatever it is, hopefully it comes in peace. Next up at number 8, Mothman. The legend of Mothman began in 1966 West Virginia after a group of grave diggers working late spotted an incredibly strange creature soaring over their heads, jumping from tree to tree. But it didn't stop there. Soon others were reporting a similar creature, described as measuring 7 feet tall, with beady red eyes and a wingspan of 10 feet, able to travel at incredibly fast speeds. Which, truthfully, kind of sounds like a demon if you ask me, but let's hope not. Now, there wasn't much evidence to back up this terrifying cryptid until one Reddit user posted it to a Mothman subreddit with a Google Maps image that appears to be the Mothman in plain sight in a forest. Many of the comments on this post claim how terrifying this is and how this proves once and for all that the cryptid is real. But I'll be honest, I might need a little more convincing. While this image certainly looks like a perfect match to the Mothman, I must admit it does kind of look like someone is wearing a suit. But hey, maybe I am wrong, and maybe we should be very worried that someone finally captured evidence of this terrifying creature. Coming in at number 7, fairies. Now, some of you who aren't familiar with fae might be asking yourself at this point, what could these adorable little creatures be doing on a list for terrifying cryptids? Well, unlike what Disney would have you believe, fairies come in many different forms and can be very scary creatures, and messing with any kind of fae is definitely a very, very, very bad idea. Now, luckily for this next person, they don't seem to have angered whatever it is they saw, but I can only imagine how terrifying it would have been in the moment. Reportedly, a 15-year-old boy was out for a walk when he spotted 2 strange creatures fishing. The cryptids were very short, unlike the size of any human he had ever seen, dressed in all green, wore brown shoes, and were talking to each other in Gaelic before they noticed him and vanished almost immediately. After they disappeared, the boy got closer to the spot he saw them and found a small pipe left behind that, according to him, disappeared later that night after he had safely locked it away. According to him, no one in his family took it, and he knows the box was locked. So do you think the leprechauns could have returned for their pipe? Let's just hope they didn't leave any kind of evil curse on him if they did. Coming in at number 6, a mysterious creature. Posted online in June of 2022, this sighting was not just creepy and inexplicable to the general public, it even became a news story across the entire country. Apparently, this strange creature that is being called Wolfman was caught on camera walking around the Amarillo Zoo in Texas, and no one can figure out what the heck it is. According to city officials, it is real and not doctored footage, but that kind of just makes it even more concerning. It doesn't appear to be any kind of animal we're familiar with, and it is certainly not a human either. At least, no one thinks so at this point. This UAO, or unidentified Amarillo object, as it's being called, has people up in arms, with some saying it's a chupacabra, the absolutely horrific folklore creature that's said to live in the southern United States and attack and devour livestock. But that's not the only theory circulating the internet. There are conspiracy theories that it's an evil alien coming to Earth, that it's a skinwalker, or that it's even some kind of Sasquatch. But honestly, I just hope that whatever it is, it's not looking to hurt anyone. Coming in at number 5, Mayaka skunk ape. While Bigfoot tends to get all of the fame in the cryptid world, there are other similarly hairy creatures that could be roaming around the United States as we speak. According to one Google Maps location, there may have been a sighting of the skunk ape near the Mayaka River in Sarasota, Florida. According to details online, in October of 2000, a senior woman sent a letter to the local police station accompanied by some photos of what could only be described as a large ape. In her letter, she reportedly claimed that the skunk ape was 6 or 7 feet tall, but would crouch over, had an ungodly smell, and would sneak into her property to steal her apples. However, her true fear was that the cryptid could have some kind of disease that could spread to her family, as she routinely had her grandkids over to play in the backyard. Unfortunately, police were not able to deny or confirm the existence of the mysterious creature, but that hasn't stopped locals from trying to unravel the mystery to this day. Coming in at number 4, a giant fly. As far as terrifying creatures go, flies are not generally the first thing that comes to mind. That being said, this story might have changed my mind. One alleged witness contacted someone through the website The Cryptid Wiki, claiming they'd seen an insect that looked like a horsefly that was almost 2 feet from head to tail. They say they were in the garden in Serbia in 2015 when they heard a horrible loud buzzing and briefly saw a huge horsefly pass them in the middle of the night, which sounds like something from my nightmares. According to the witness, quote, "I saw it probably for 6 seconds after it flew past me, and it disappeared when it flew behind my garden fence. I checked and nothing was there. The bug was big and black and I couldn't see it very well, but it made a loud buzzing noise. The weather was cloudy and it was night. My mother and sister were there too, and they saw it and were shocked." Now, if what they saw was real, then it could be so dangerous. I mean, the bite from a regular horsefly is bad enough. Imagine how bad it could be if the thing was 2 feet long. Coming in at number 3, Bigfoot. Out of any of the cryptids out there, I would venture to say that the hairy Sasquatch is likely the one that most people claim to have witnessed. I mean, practically everyone and their neighbor claim to have seen the creature walking through the woods of North America. Dating back further than recorded history, this man-like ape has been a household legend with nearly 10,000 recorded sightings throughout the United States. And with just a quick search, you'll literally find hundreds of photos and articles aiming to prove Bigfoot's existence. Arguably, the most famous evidence we have is Roger Patterson and Bob Grimlin's 1967 film, where the alleged creature is seen walking along the side of a creek in plain day, and though we still don't know if the authenticity of the photo stacks up, we've also never been truly able to debunk it entirely. Of the many stories of alleged sightings, including some saying they were captured and held captive by the creature, and others claiming to have spotted the Sasquatch roaming about the woods, one of the only sightings you can find on Google Maps is located in Seven Chutes, Canada, where a photo of a large, broad-shouldered humanoid creature covered in hair shocked everyone who stumbled upon it. However, considering these things roam around the woods, I highly doubt it's still in the same spot as it was captured on Google. Coming in at number 2, Lake Monster. If you grew up in the Okanagan Valley of British Columbia, then you are no stranger to this mythological sea creature. But could it be that there is more to Ogopogo than we thought? The tale of the creature dates back thousands of years, with the Salish indigenous people having passed along stories about a spirit of the lake, which was later turned into what we now call Ogopogo after white settlers landed and began altering the stories. Described as a serpentine creature with smooth skin and a length of up to 50 feet, it's said to move at incredible speeds, using its powerful tail as a propeller to speed through the lake. The first alleged sighting dates back to 1872 by a woman named Susan Allison, who was the first white settler to live in the region, but she has not been the only one to come forward with so-called evidence. In the 1980s, a tourist agency offered a cash reward for anyone with proof of the beast, and many flocked with pictures and videos trying to claim the reward. Then later in 2008, a photographer by the name of Sean Valoria captured several photos of something peculiar he saw in the water, which he described as having humps measuring 18 to 20 feet long. After inspection by many local experts, they confirmed that it didn't look like any known animal to the lake, but there also wasn't enough evidence to confirm the existence of Ogopogo from Sean's photo. Since then, many mysterious sightings have popped up on Google Maps, so I guess people will just have to keep returning to the lake for more proof. And last up in our number 1 spot, the Ottawa Angel. This next one comes from a blog post, and I'm just gonna let this man tell you his story firsthand, cause Man oh man, it is wild. Quote, I lived right beside the highway on-ramp and was on my way rather quickly on that sunny yet windy fall day. As usual, I put some good music on and proceeded to enjoy the approximately 1 hour long scenic drive to Ottawa. I rather liked and traveled this route quite often. It was an uneventful trip which had passed rather quickly as I began to approach the Ottawa city limits at about 12:20 p.m. At this point, in broad daylight, without a cloud in the sky, I caught my eye up ahead in the distance on what at first came to mind as a very large seagull due to its white and gray appearance. But he soon realized it was something much stranger than a seagull. Quote, I then noticed what looked like outstretched arms connected to a human-looking torso with a head and what I call legs, but which in fact more closely resembled a long serpent-looking tail flowing behind this winged being at the time. I do realize how strange this may sound, but I assure you that it is unfortunately all too real. He did not appear friendly or welcoming, and I will never forget the last seconds that I could see him and his ominous glare. So what could this thing have been? Some kind of angel? Or some kind of demon perhaps? I guess we'll never know. But if it ever does return, we know where to find it.
Kicking our list off at number 10, missing car. Gearing up for the holidays, it should be an exciting time, right? You put up lights, almost fall off a couple of ladders, you're freezing cold. It's good, right? It's family bonding. You want to have a laugh. You don't want to accidentally find a car that's been missing for 9 years. That's not a laugh at all. That's rather stressful. That's right, back in 2015, a car that had been missing since 2006 was accidentally found while employees at a Michigan mortuary home were decorating around the building for the holidays, which on paper, I'm like, that's fun. They're making trying to liven it up a little bit. That's great. But finding this, that's creepy, especially here, ooh. In a nearby pond, they saw what appeared to be the roof of a car, and it turns out if you had just taken a look on Google Maps first, or at any point, you would have found this car a lot sooner, before the holidays. And also not in person, and terrifying. Finding this car also meant solving a 9-year-old missing person case. 72-year-old David Lee Niles most likely drove into the pond by accident. Now I'm gonna look on Google Maps after I'm done this list. Never know what you can find, or solve, apparently. That's great. Looking at my neighbor's backyard, I'm like, what is that? Is that a tire? Is that a coffin? Number 9. The Kazakhstan pentagram. The Nazca lines, they're massive, they're beautiful, right? But they're not a jarring image to look at. A little man carved into the earth, that's amazing. That's kind of cute. A giant pentagram? That's haunting, that's not fun. And the fact that there appears to be no life or civilization around said pentagram, well, even worse. This symbol was first discovered in 2013, and it was carved into the ground into a deserted part of Kazakhstan. The closest city to the symbol is 12 miles away, the city of Lysychovsk, so, that would be quite a commute, whoever did this work of art. The symbol was made because that apparently was the outline of a park at one point in time. It was supposed to be shaped like a star, but if you accidentally went to the wrong place, checked Google Maps to see where to go, zoomed out, and then saw this, well, I don't know about you, but I would faint at the wheel. I would fall asleep. That's so scary. That's jarring to see on Google Maps. That's very, I don't like that. Number 8, Scientology hidden base. The Church of Scientology's base, like their underground hidden headquarters, their base near Trementia, New Mexico, is very alien. It doesn't stand out in a good way. I'm sure some of us are watching right now and they're torn. Some are on board with Scientology, and some can't stand the sight of Tom Cruise's face. Whatever your opinion is. On Google Maps, this looks like it should be Area 51. It looks like hieroglyphics, almost. If you saw this on a map in a video game, well, something good has to be nearby. Or terrible, one or the other. There's also a private airstrip nearby this symbol, so maybe there are aliens here? I don't know. Author John Sweeney says that this is a marker for the hidden bunker for the Church of Scientology. Now these symbols are apparently used by Scientologists as a guide to remind us where to go after returning to Earth, post-apocalypse, when we all die and then all the Tom Cruises come back and they're like, hey, Mission Impossible 9, 10, 11, doesn't even matter. Number 7. 2012 Sandy Island. Does it exist or does it not exist? Come on, we need an answer. This island is becoming the new Atlantis, apparently. Back in 2012, the world did not end, obviously, but a new island was gifted to us, it seems. A previously undiscovered island just popped up on Google Maps. Now, it was called Sandy Island, and it was located northwest of New Caledonia, and appeared to be the size of Manhattan. Wasn't too big, but again, wasn't too small. We should be able to go and see something. However, when a group of scientists sailed in the area, it wasn't there. Yeah, the island just went away, or it sunk sunk or it moved or doesn't exist. I don't know. It's just not there. How lovely is that? They never found solid ground, only open water. They explain that this might be due to human errors, but do we believe that? I don't know. Something's fishy here. Pun intended. I don't know, maybe a giant shark ate this island. Number 6, Big Bunny. It's normal to see bunny hills on Google Maps, but large bunnies on hills? Not what I signed up for. How does that happen? What? That shouldn't be a thing that exists, but it does, so now we have to talk about it. Located on the 5,000 foot high Coleto Fava mountain, there is somehow a massive 200 foot tall bunny. A knitted, pretty cute bunny. I don't know what's worse, being up close to it and seeing it massive in real life, or being far enough away that you see the whole creepy image of the bunny. Both are pretty gross. This rabbit is an art installation knitted by an art collective. So the whole purpose here was for tourists to come and jump around and play on it. Nice, I bet that's fun. I bet bugs love it as well. Number 5, Doll Village. This is like House of Wax kind of stuff. This is, it's one of the coolest places in my opinion. I would love to visit here, but I totally get why a lot of people are freaked out. There is a small village located in Shikoku, Japan, and what makes it creepy are of course the dolls spread out all over the place, and the lack of real living human people. All these dolls are made by the same person, and here's the kicker. According to reports, once a person passes away, this artist will replace them with a doll. Yeah, that noise you just made, that's why I put this on the list. That's terrifying, I don't like that at all. Another creepy thing here is that you won't see these dolls in the same place, but their creator, she'll deny moving them at all. So the dolls move on their own. That's cool. I lied. Maybe this is the scariest place on Earth and I'm not gonna visit. Ew, what if the dolls just looked at you? You're just sitting there and it's like, I don't like that. It gave me chills, creeps. Number 4, large lips. All right, large lips coming up next. After that creepy ghost town, we gotta throw in something different, right? Something nicer? I mean, I don't know. We still need to sleep at some point today. Located in Garb, Sudan, lies what appear to be a large set of lips. That's all I'll say about that. This is just a natural formation. There wasn't a lip park supposed to be built here. It's just Mother Nature, just doing her thing. Now, if the Earth could speak out of this mouth, what do you think she would say? She'd probably say, use your turn signal, and also stop littering. Thanks. Number 3, creepy figure. I saw this late one night when I was scrolling, like alone in my personal life, and I gasped. I don't know, I don't like this one bit. I know it's probably easy to explain, but it's too creepy and, well, to be honest, I'm not sure when I'll get the chance to bring it up again on this channel, so here we go. The streets of Nancy, France. Now on Google Maps, this is a great way to get excited for your trip to Nancy, France. You gotta go check out the roads, plan where you're gonna go. Oh, why is that one spot blurred out? That's weird, let's Google it. Well, before this random spot was blurred out by Google, this creepy statue was just chilling on Google Street View. Now, I'm not sure who found this first, but man, that must have been jarring. Oh boy. It's so scary that Google even blurred it. You know what I mean? Even Google was like, huh. That's it. Why the area is blurred? I mean, people probably wanted to go check it out, and that's a no-no. Leave people alone, right? Obviously. That's what Google Maps is for. Just stalk them and scroll out from above. Easy. And number 2, Australia Triangle. Not to be confused with the Bermuda Triangle, although that's also a weird one. This Australian triangle was found, of course, on Google Maps, and I would check this one out. This is kind of cool. Anything alien, count me in. Put that tinfoil hat on. Let's do it. I'll watch signs on the plane on my way. It was originally discovered back in 2007, and some were quick to argue that this was a UFO that had made a pit stop on Earth. Google Maps got a shot of it. Others found a much more plausible, boring solution. They thought that it's a wind farm with 3 sets of wires that ultimately form a triangle, and in the middle part, it receives and transmits control signals. So it's not a UFO? Okay, are we sure? All right, we'll come back. Maybe part 2. We'll see. And finally, number 1, the Island of the Dolls. Back to doll stuff, gross. Some of these I would check out in person. I mean, sure, this last one here, the Island of the Dolls, I would only leave for Google Maps. Maybe, I'm not even sure I would zoom in on this place online. Isla de las Muñecas, this island for dolls, is famous because, of course, the dolls are on it, but there's also doll parts that are spread throughout it, just hundreds of them everywhere. They would be hanging from trees or they would be nailed to the trees. Again, parts or full dolls, doesn't matter. It's all terrible to me. A resident by the name of Julian Santa Barrera is responsible for all these doll parts, and he did this to try and ward off demonic spirits. It worked. It worked so well that now humans don't even bother with it. He did this right after he found a body in a canal after it went missing, and to this day nobody dares to approach the island. Yeah, more than fair. There's a body? What? They would much rather snap a few pics from their boat, or, like me, just check it out from Google Maps. That's it. All you gotta do is this. Just zoom in and out. Easy.
Number 10. HAARP site. The High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, aka HAARP, is a University of Alaska Fairbanks program which researches the ionosphere, the highest ionized part of Earth's atmosphere. It is currently among the most controversial operations being carried out in the US and forms the base for a number of conspiracy theories. Various individuals have speculated about hidden motivations and capabilities of the project. For example, Rosalie Bertell warned in 1996 about the deployment of HAARP as a military weapon. Michael Chosudovsky stated in a book published by the Committee on Monetary and Economic Reform that the recent scientific evidence suggests that HAARP is fully operational and has the capability of triggering floods, hurricanes, droughts, and earthquakes. Over time, HAARP has been blamed for generating such catastrophes as well as thunderstorms in Iran, Pakistan, Haiti, Turkey, Greece, and the Philippines, and even major power outages, the downing of TWA Flight 800, Gulf War Syndrome, and chronic fatigue syndrome. And the fact that this place is blurred out on Google Maps, I think they're guilty. Number 9. North Korea. Until February 2013, North Korea existed as a blurred blotch on Google Maps with just its capital city, Pyongyang, marked on it. Today, you can see it on the map, but you can't see it on Street View. Why can't we see anything? Well, this is due to their dictator Kim Jong-un's rule. It's been said that they have many secret missile bases and they have some nuclear facilities. There's also Kanjong-dong, better known as Propaganda Village. It's North Korea's end of the DMZ and has a grand total of 200 people living in it. Well, that's if you believe the North Korean government. In reality, there are absolutely no residents. Zero. It's completely empty. The village was designed to show off the virtues of North Korean lifestyle to South Korean villages in view and lead to defection. You can see it from South Korea, but not on Google Maps. And one of the biggest atrocities in North Korea are their prison camps. A former guard likened the prisoners to walking skeletons, dwarfs, and cripples in rags. He estimated about 30% of prisoners had deformities such as torn off ears, smashed eyes, crooked noses, and faces covered with cuts and scars, resulting from beatings and other mistreatment, and that these people were still forced to work. They had to do hard physical labor in agriculture, mining, and inside factories from 5 AM to 8 PM, followed by ideological re-education and self-criticism sessions. The prisoners are forced to sleep in a room with 80 to 90 people in 30 square meter flea-infested rooms, are only occasionally allowed to use the toilet, one for about every 300 people, and may only take a shower after several months. No wonder Kim doesn't want us to see any of this, because they're major crimes against humanity. Number 8. Babylon. Once on the list of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, a predominant part of the Holy Bible, Babylon, Iraq now appears on Google Maps as an unending farmland. The vast history behind the city makes it stand out as one of the greatest cities in Iraq, and many find it to be disrespectful that Google Maps would blur out such a city. Many people speculate that is the history itself that is the reason why parts of Babylon are censored. Not all of the history has been uncovered from this ancient city, and the censorship could deter people from exploring the area and finding things for themselves, but I feel like this would make me want to explore it more. Number 7. Israel. When you first start looking at Israel in satellite view, everything looks fine, but zoom in and you'll notice that things get blurry quickly. In fact, all of Israel is shown in low resolution by all US-based mapping services due to the Kyla Bingaman Amendment to the National Defense Authorization Act of 1997, entitled Prohibition on Collection and Release of Detailed Satellite Imagery Relating to Israel. The amendment requires the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, Commercial Remote Sensing Regulatory Affairs Agency, to regulate the distribution of zoomed images of Israel. While the review of the Kyla Bingaman Amendment is said to be taking place, many images of Israel remain blurry. Number 6. Washington-Oregon border. If you hover over the Washington and Oregon border in the northwestern part of the US, you may find a small black box along the border. This seems like a strange place to censor, and as soon as this came out, people began speculating. One of
the most popular reasons to be rumored was the involvement of the FEMA, Federal Emergency Management Agency, and was thought to be a base of theirs. However, people have traveled to the area in real life and found nothing but the empty terrain in the area. So, why is it blocked out? No one really knows. Number 5. Elmira Correctional Facility. Okay, Google isn't trying to hide this place, but the warden is. Elmira Correctional Facility in New York is blurred because the warden of the prison put in a request for censorship with Google to censor the prison so prisoners wouldn't be able to map out escape plans. After several escapes, the warden decided that it may be the fact that prisoners are escaping by using Google Maps as a reference. So to put a stop to it, he got it blurred. Now, there are better ways to prevent breakouts like enhancing security, but who knows, maybe blurring out the prison on Google Earth has effectively stopped prison escapes since then. Doubt it though. Number 4. Marcoule Nuclear Site. The Marcoule Nuclear Site located in France has been blurred off the maps. Operational since 1956, Marcoule is a gigantic site run by the Atomic Energy Organization, Commissariat à l'Énergie Atomique, CEA, and Arriva NC. The first industrial and military plutonium experiments took place in Marcoule. Diversification of the site was started in the 1970s with the creation of the Phoenix prototype fast breeder reactor, which was operational until 2009 and is nowadays an important site for decommissioning nuclear facilities activities. Since 1995, the factory has been producing MOX from a mix of uranium and plutonium oxides. MOX is used to recycle plutonium from nuclear fuel. Unfortunately, on September 12, 2011, there was an explosion in an oven used to melt metallic waste of a weak and very weak level of radioactivity, ending the life of 1 person and injuring 4. A safety cordon was set up around the plant by fire officers because of a risk of a leakage, and because of this, it really isn't a shock that it's off the map. Number 3. House of Gazprom CEO Alexei Miller. The House of Gazprom CEO Alexei Miller in Russia is blurred. I wonder why. Well, Gazprom is a Russian majority state-owned multinational energy corporation headquartered in St. Petersburg. As of 2019, with sales over $120 billion, it was ranked as the largest publicly listed natural gas company in the world and the largest company in Russia by revenue. Repeatedly, Gazprom has been accused of being a political and economical weapon of Russia, using the supply and price of natural gas to gain control over Europe. On April 22, 2015, Gazprom was charged by the European Commission with using territorial restrictions to engage in anti-competitive behavior and using its dominant position to impose unfair prices. The company was accused of preventing competition in Bulgaria, the Czech Republic, Hungary, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, and Slovakia. In June 2021, a massive methane plume over Russia resulted from the partial shutdown of a Gazprom PJSC pipeline for emergency repair. The company said the repairs, which took place on June 4th, released 2.7 million cubic meters, aka 1,830 metric tons of methane. And that's just a couple of their controversies. With environmentalists mad at Gazprom, it's no shock that the CEO wants his house location essentially wiped from the internet. Number 2. Valkuil Air Base. It's believed that since the early 1960s, USAF nuclear weapons have been stored at the Valkuil Air Base in the Netherlands to be used by the host nation's aircraft. As of 2008, 22 B-61 nuclear bombs were believed to be in storage at Valkuil. Despite the evidence for this, the Dutch Ministry of Defense never officially acknowledges or denies the presence of nuclear weapons at Valkuil. In a book published by former Air Force pilot Steve Netto, it was revealed that some 50 B-28 nuclear bombs were in storage there around the time of the Cuban Missile Crisis, which, if needed, were to be deployed by aircraft of the Royal Netherlands Air Force. In a document leaked as part of the United States diplomat cables leak, the presence of nuclear weapons in the Netherlands is confirmed, though no specific location is given. On June 10, 2013, former Prime Minister Rudd Lubbers confirmed the existence of 22 nuclear weapons at the airfield. In a 2016 NATO draft report, Valkuil was mentioned as one of 6 locations where altogether, approximately 150 American B-61 bombs are stored. And according to a May 2021 article from Bellingcat, many sensitive security details about the nuclear arsenal at Valkuil, such as which vaults currently had nuclear weapons in them, were inadvertently exposed when journalists discovered that the soldiers tasked tasked with overseeing these weapons had been using publicly available flashcard websites to assist them in learning these details. And coming up at number 1 is the Snow Saddle. Kantega, better known as the Snow Saddle, is an area located in the Nepal Himalaya. A section of this mountain is blackened out by satellites. At first, many thought this area might just be a glitch in the satellite cameras. However, if you reference another satellite site in Bing's search engine, the spot is pixelated out. There have been many sightings of UFOs in the area, leading many to believe that the blackened area is a base of operations for a secret government project dealing with the extraterrestrial. The alleged secret UFO base was discovered by YouTube alien and UFO hunter Mexico Geek, who uploaded the evidence to YouTube on January 28, 2016. The images have sparked lively discussion and debates on UFO forums. These areas are known in the UFO community to be UFO hotspots. Alien and UFO spotters have reported strange and suspicious phenomena in this area in the past. Reported sightings in the remote and inaccessible area include massive flying saucers and orb UFOs emerging from underground locations. The area is notorious for the strange and eerie and mysterious activity, and it's believed that it's either a UFO base in the area or a top secret military facility for alien UFO reverse engineering research projects, and that's the reason why it's blurred.
Starting off this countdown, we have Snow Saddle. Snow Saddle is a major mountain peak of the Himalayas in Nepal. But if you try to view it from Google Earth, you'll see that the whole area is blacked out, which is obviously suspicious. Why is a mountain peak blurred? What's going on there that has Google blurring it? To this day, no one knows for sure. But of course, there are a number of theories. One theory is that the Nazis had secret expeditions to the Himalayas and found a UFO base in that area. Sounds crazy, right? Well, there have been a number of UFO sightings in that area, so maybe it is a top secret UFO base. Who knows? We don't know. Moving on to number 9, we have Baker Lake. Located in Nunavut, Canada, Google Earth is letting you see none of it. Get it? Like none of it? Sorry, I love my puns. So if you look it up on Google Maps, it's weird because you see just a black strip covering a large area near the lake. What's it blocking? Again, we don't know for sure, but we have some crazy conspiracies. One theory is that the strip is concealing extraterrestrial beacons that help the navigation of the crafts, or that it's a craft landing strip. I don't know. They also say that this area would be perfect for the beacons since snow creates a powerful electromagnetic field that helps send a better signal. What do you think though? Let me know in the comments below. In our 8th spot, we have the Pacific Northwest Blur. Here is a view of the area close to the Washington-Oregon border. And would you look at that? There's a random patch blacked out. To this day, no one knows what that is. But something is there that Google doesn't want us to see. In fact, some people believe that it is a HAARP site, or HAARP. HAARP is said to be a military program that weaponizes weather and causes natural disasters like floods, earthquakes, droughts, you get it. Now, some people have actually traveled to that area to see what's up, but unfortunately haven't been able to find anything. Kinda suspicious. Like, what does Google know that we don't know? A whole lot, that's what. In our 7th spot, we have 2207 Seymour Avenue. This is the address to a home located in Cleveland, Ohio. A home in which a horrific crime took place. A crime that people don't like to talk about. From 2002 to 2004, Adriel Castro kidnapped 3 young women, Michelle Knight, Amanda Berry, and Georgina De Jesus. He kept them captive in his home until 2013 when Amanda Berry escaped with her daughter and contacted the police. Police came to his house and rescued the other women. This house has since been blurred on Google Maps due to the horrific crimes that took place inside. In fact, it was given the name the House of Horrors. But in 2013, it was actually demolished to help the victims move on from their traumatizing past. In our 6th spot, we have Valencia City. Located in the Philippines, Valencia City is one of the largest and most populated cities in the province of Bukidnon. It's home to over 190,000 people. It's even a popular tourist spot. But if you want to find it on Google Earth, you can't. The whole city is just blurred out. This was apparently done under government orders. Valencia City is home to their government's headquarters. It's said to house a top secret missile defense program. Others say that they do missile testing there, but that hasn't been proven, so we really don't know. It's just weird that the whole city is blurred out, not just a single area. We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with Antarctica Island. Located in Alaska, sections of this island are blurred out and no one really knows why this is. But it may have to do with the nuclear testing that once took place there. From the 1950s to the 1970s, this island was the site of US underground nuclear testing. Nowadays, they are running tests to see if the island has any radioactive leakage there. If there isn't, then in 2025 it could become a wildlife reserve. But again, why is half of the island blurred out? Maybe that's the section where the nuclear testing took place. But why is it still blurred? A lot of people think that the military is doing some suspicious illegal activities there. We just don't know what. Moving on, at number 4 we have Voekel Air Base. Located in the Netherlands, we have the Voekel Air Base, which is a military air base used by the Royal Netherlands Air Force. According to former Dutch Prime Minister, there are 22 US nuclear bombs being stored in bunkers of this airspace, which is one of the many reasons as to why it appears pixelated on Google Earth. You got thermonuclear bombs, all the way to bombs that are said to be 4 times powerful as the ones used on the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Now, for the longest time, the place was just rumored to have nukes. It wasn't known for sure. That was until 2013 when the Prime Minister let it slip. He said, and I quote, "I would never have thought those silly things would still be there in 2013. I think they are an absolutely pointless part of a tradition in military thinking." In our 3rd spot, we have the mysterious Russian site. Located in the Siberian tundra close to the city of Egvikinot. I know I said that wrong. I literally looked up the pronunciation, but there is nothing out there, so I apologize. Egvigno, I'm so sorry. Anyways, the area is blurred out on Google Earth and no one knows why. I've been saying that a lot this video, but it's true, no one knows why. But it didn't always appear like this. At one point they had edited the satellite imagery. They cut out a section around Egvinot, that place I don't know how to say, and pasted it over whatever they wanted to blur. They thought it would make it less obvious. But apparently on Russian maps they have the area blurred with a black box. So what's going on in that area? Some say it's HAARP again, others say there's a large gold deposit in that area, so they don't want people finding that out. Others say it's a ballistic missile testing site. Coming in at number 2, we have the murder scene. Google Earth is a snitch, y'all, okay? A couple of years ago, they caught a murder on camera. It shows a dark figure standing by a body laying down on the ground by some abandoned train tracks. That's all we know. Obviously, due to it being disturbing in nature, they don't want people seeing it. And in our number 1 spot today, we have the poor donkey. Now, this has to be one of the funniest, yet saddest things caught on Google Earth/Maps. So you know how they have that van with the camera that drives along and it just snaps photos like every second in every direction? Well, while going along, it captured a donkey at the side of the road. Seconds later, if you click down the road and you turn back, the donkey's still there, just now laying on the floor. It had been hit by the Google Earth truck. It's pretty sad. Rest in peace, donkey. But that doesn't look too good on the company if they're going around and hitting and killing animals. Just saying.
Starting off this list, in our number 10 spot, we have the star. While searching through images, someone stumbled upon an isolated corner of Kazakhstan, and here they found a large pentagram etched into the ground, which of course may have set off some alarm bells. The 5-point star is surrounded by a circle and is very clearly visible, and of course, once the image began circling the internet, people were coming up with only the most wild theories and explanation. In the end, it turned out to be the exact opposite of something sinister. It's actually the outline of a park that was made into the shape of a star. The star is so clearly marked because of the roadways, and where there's no road, there's a lot of trees, which makes the symbol stand out even more. It's like the best possible outcome for this one, honestly. A beautiful tree-lined park in the shape of a star. How lovely. In our number 9 spot today, we have the bunker. If you were to take a nice little scroll through the deserts of New Mexico, at some point you'd see something etched into the ground. They appear to be 2 large diamonds that are surrounded by a pair of overlapping circles. Okay, Likely not a naturally occurring situation, so what could it be? Maybe an ancient geoglyph? Maybe some sort of cool secret Area 51 style place? No, of course it's just allegedly the site of some hidden bunker that belongs to the Church of Scientology. Apparently this cult uses these symbols to guide Scientologists who are returning to Earth after fleeing a planet's Armageddon. Okay. Sure. There are other examples of strange and hidden places that somehow link back to this cult, so it really has me wondering just how many properties and areas that they have and what they're up to. Maybe that explanation really is the truth behind these symbols, but what if it's not? Despite how controversial this cult is, they've managed to grow quite widespread, and they've gained some quite well-known people over the years, like Tom Cruise and John Travolta. So random. In our number 8 spot today we have the Cauldron. Google Earth can basically take you anywhere except for the areas they of course have blocked off for a variety of reasons. And when I say basically anywhere, sometimes I mean even the most absurd places, including right to the edge of a boiling cauldron of lava. That's right, you can head right to the edge of the volcano that is located on an island in the Vanuatu chain in the South Pacific. It is cool because it's likely the closest I'll ever get to seeing this kind of view in real life, but it's also terrifying to look into that cavern that's filled with bright, hot magma. Like, even just looking at this photo, you can almost feel the heat and the panic of being at the mouth of a volcano. Very cool, but also very scary. In our number 7 spot today, we have the Nevada Triangle. This image from Google Maps captures a spooky symbol that is lurking in the deserts of Nevada. I think conspiracy theorists have forever ruined triangles just in general, but this large one with all the circles inside, coupled with the minimal answers on what it is, definitely makes for a bit of an eerie sight. Right now, the most popular theory as to what this could be is a bombing target. Apparently close by is an Air Force base, so that theory truly would make quite a bit of sense. It could also be some sort of abandoned airstrip perhaps, but of course with any mystery on the internet, there are more very wild theories out there. Of course there's the obligatory "it's aliens" theory, along with some sort of Illuminati idea, but it wouldn't be the internet without it. In our number 6 spot today we have the fire. As the satellites and little cars go by that document the imagery used on Google Maps, they can't exactly predict or control who or what is going to be happening in the area captured. Sometimes it might capture someone who will eventually be blurred out on their front lawn. Sometimes it captures accidents, and in this case it captured an absolutely raging field fire in Arkansas. It would already be terrifying from the ground, but seeing it from this vantage point really shows how large and powerful it is. Someone on Reddit made a good point, saying that it appears as though there are people on the south side, which likely means that the fire is contained and controlled, thankfully, but that doesn't really make it any less cool or interesting to see. In our number 5 spot today we have the Valley of Dolls. Google Maps, especially the street view, is such a great way to look around a place and kind of get your bearings before you even get there. I mean, I remember almost 8 years ago now, before I moved to Toronto, I spent hours digitally walking around the streets, seeing my home, where I was gonna go to school, all that jazz. It was super exciting. But sometimes you walk around a city so unlike your own that it absolutely shocks you, and that is likely what would happen if you were to just stumble upon the town or village of Nagoro in Japan, which is known as the Valley of Dolls. A woman named Ayano Tsukimi grew up in the village and remembers a time when it was full of families and other children just like her, but during her years in secondary school, she and her family moved to Osaka. Ayano continued to grow up, she married and had her own kids, all the while her parents ended up moving back to the town. After her mother passed away, she also moved back to the village in order to help care for her father, and this is when she realized that the population of the town had dropped drastically since her time here as a child. While living here and trying to keep her garden free of crows, she made a scarecrow that resembled her father and she placed it outside. When she realized that those living in the village began to mistake the scarecrow for her father, she had an idea to commemorate those in the village who had passed away with a scarecrow, and boom, 350 dolls later, the town became an attraction for travelers and journalists. It's a bit eerie to peer through on Google Maps, but when the full story is revealed, it gets way less sinister and actually kinda sweet. In our number 4 spot today, we have the Costa Concordia. The Costa Concordia was a huge ship with 17 decks, 6 restaurants, and a 3-story theater. The ship was big enough to hold a whopping 4,200 passengers, so there were a lot of people on this boat on January 13th, 2012. On that day, the boat's captain wanted to sail a little closer to the island of Isla del Giglio imbroglio than he normally would so that he could impress and salute the residents. He turned off the ship's alarm for the computer navigation system, which turned out to be just as terrible of an idea as you would think it is. He thought he knew the waters well enough to navigate by sight, but when the ship struck an underwater rock, things took a deadly turn. The ship capsized and sank, which unfortunately ended up taking the lives of some of the passengers on board. The captain, who is responsible for the accident in the first place, made one more awful mistake when he abandoned ship while passengers were still stuck on board. The recovery for the ship was the largest of its kind, as the huge ship had been entirely dismantled. You might be wondering why on earth I just told you an entire shipwreck story, and that is because both the wreck as well as the subsequent rescue efforts were visible on Google Earth for quite some time. The satellite imagery probably isn't even as near as terrifying as it must have been to be close during those terrifying days, but it does give us an idea of the size of this disaster. In our number 3 spot today, we have the crater. Space is very cool, but for every cool and interesting thing I learn about it, I also learn one equally or even more terrifying thing about it as well. It's a very scary place, and we truly have no control over the powers of it, which is exactly why this startling image found on Google Earth is an unsettling one. Somewhere in northern Arizona, there is a mark that is like an Earth scar, and it serves as a reminder of a 50,000-year-old meteor strike. When I call it a mark or a scar, I am greatly understating it, as this thing is a huge crater known as the Barringer crater. It's the result of a 150-foot slab of nickel iron that smashed into the Earth with the exploding force of 2.5 million tons of TNT. Yeah, this sure makes me glad I wasn't around 50,000 years ago. This natural disaster caused this natural landmark that serves as our reminder of just how small we really are. In our number 2 spot today, we have the scene. This is an image that went viral with people saying that if you typed in these certain coordinates, that you will see what people think is a man dragging a body down a dock and leaving a bloody trail behind. That would be gruesome, wouldn't it? When looking at the image, it does seem compelling, and that is pretty much what it looks like, although it's definitely still a little unclear. In fact, it was so compelling that Snopes actually did an article on it. The dock is located in the Netherlands, and according to their research into it, Snopes claims that the photo is just a few people walking, and they are likely accompanied by a sort of brown dog, who may have just jumped into the water and then left some watermarks, thus the reasoning for the red-stained wood. That is definitely a less sinister explanation, and it's the one I'm hoping is true. In our number 1 spot today, we have the pond. Davy Lee Niles was 72 years old in 2006 when he disappeared. Sadly, for almost a decade, the case went cold as no one could find him or his car or even figure out what might have happened to him. That was until someone was decorating a Christmas tree in 2015 and was high up on a lift, and they spotted something deep within a pond nearby. That something they spotted turned out to be something that had also been visible on Google Maps for years, and in the end, it was the car that belonged to Davy. And when the authorities went to recover it, they were able to find his body inside. The car wasn't visible before because at ground level it's just too murky. While the satellite image taken from Google Maps makes it quite clear that there is something there, not too many people are taking a virtual tour around this body of water. Thankfully, that person in 2015 wasn't only aware of their surroundings, but they said something when they saw something, and it was able to lead to closure for the family of Davy.
Starting us off, in at number 10 on this list, we have this. Alright, I'm not sure what I'm looking at, but I think these are the real life pigeon men. If I saw this, if I was driving around at nighttime and I saw this, I'd be freaking out. I don't know if a robbery is about to go down. I don't know what's going on. Is this a bird protest? Are you protesting for pigeons? Okay, well, apparently this photo was actually found by a Reddit user, and it's from Japan. It's a pretty famous random Google map image and kind of hilarious. I just have way too many questions on that one. I don't know why that became famous. What is the backstory? Alright, let's move right along. Number 9. This is a dumpster in Chile that appears to have mummified dead bodies dumped in it. I'm really hoping there is some sort of costume store nearby, or this picture was just taken after Halloween, but who knows. Next up on this list, just like that, number 8. So this image is from the Netherlands, and it appears that there is someone dragging a dead body to the edge to dump it. Is that the real life Dexter Morgan? Didn't Dexter dump his bodies in the water? And also, isn't there a new Dexter coming out? I'm super excited. Well, going back to this picture here, we actually found the coordinates on Google and searched it before this video, and there is now a new image without anyone on the pier. So this was definitely strange and scary, and Google's probably like, oh, we just captured like a live situation happening here. I think people looked into this picture, and I'm pretty sure it was just a wet dog, and what people are seeing as blood is just water. Well, at least that's what I'm hoping. Number 7. This image is from France. It has sparked a ton of questions on the internet about what on earth that creature is standing on the balcony. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Also, if you guys are liking this video, make sure to hit the like button because it really helps us out. It's prompted several paranormal and otherworldly folks to look further into it. But now, if you search that same location, the entire camera is blurry and nothing can be seen. Number 6. Hopefully CCTV helped save this woman. Well, hopefully she was found safe and alive after this image was captured. This might have been the moment she was kidnapped and thrown into a trunk of a car by 2 men. All right, let's move on to number 5. Is this real life right now? I don't know what that is. Obviously, Google Maps messed up on this one. Technology isn't 100%, unless Elon Musk made it, it's 100%. But I don't know what that is, like an owl? Yeah, I think it just got split. Is that an owl? It is an owl? No. Oh, it isn't. It's definitely it's confirmed cat. Okay, so this one is less scary and more of a funny picture, just to lighten the mood a little bit, but it's pretty weird if you ask me. I'm hoping that this is just a glitch, a real life glitch, or maybe just a simple glitch in the camera. Maybe this is a new discovery. Maybe this is a new species. What do we name it? Guys, what do we name it? Tell me in the comment section below. You guys are gonna put like half cat, half owl. You guys are gonna troll me hard. Oh my god, Landon thought that was an owl. Some of you guys did as well, alright? Okay, I might be the only one. Next up, number 4. Well, we're looking at this picture. This is one of the most famous strange Google Maps Street View finds out there, and I have to hope that someone knew the cameras was hitting that area and this is just a setup, you know, just to be funny. There's a lot of pranks out there, a lot of funny business going on out there. Well, otherwise it means that this thing actually exists, and I don't like thinking about it at all. Can anyone confirm if this was found near Area 51? What do you guys think is in Area 51? What is President Donald Trump hiding in Area 51? Coming in at number 3, alright, well, we have this. We're looking at it right now. Well, this is a picture of Blood Lake. It was found on Google Maps, and the lakes surrounding it are normal colors. So why is this one such a deep blood red? I mean, do we want to know the answer to this one? Well, apparently it is believed that a slaughterhouse nearby has run off to this body of water. So they're just slaughtering animals, and that could be blood. The blood could just be draining into it. I really don't think that's very sanitary. Alright, number 2. I don't even know what to say about this one. It's so odd to me that cars would be normally driving by with people dressed like this. This has to be a prank. FouseyTube, is that you? Nelk Boys, is that you guys? Were they filming a music video of some sort? I have so many questions. I bet the real story is hilarious. If you have any ideas on what on earth is happening here, let me know. Well, let me know about any of these, but especially that half cat, half owl picture. Let me know if it's actual owl. Finally on our list at number 1, we have this picture right here. Okay, this is so weird. This is pulled directly from Google Images. So this is in Kazakhstan, and researchers say this isn't satanic at all, and it's just an outline of the park that is there. I'm gonna go ahead and say that that is a lie. No way, this is just innocent. Starting off this list at number 10 with this image. At first glance, it looks like the outside of a typical cafe. But then when you look closely, you can see this man with his llama. What the heck? Oh, is this a llama right now? Is this real life right now? Where did this come from? I don't want this. Alright, is that his pet or something? Either way, I'm really confused, and I'm curious to know why he's not on like a farm. This llama is probably like slurping on some cappuccino or something. Alright, next up, number 9, we have this image taken in South America, and it's a police officer with a suspect in the back of a police pickup truck. Is this how they arrest people down in South America? I'm sure this man is being detained, can sue the police for brutality. I mean, this doesn't even seem like he was treated with any form of human decency at all. Alright, number 8, we have this baby baby who appears to be lost and missing. I'm sure this baby doesn't have enough money to shop at Gucci, so what is he doing there alone? His parents must be so careless and thoughtless to let their baby out of their sight. Who knows what could have happened to this baby? We live in a world of like sickness these days. What if someone abducted this poor little guy or hurt him? Now that wouldn't be good. Well, let's move on to number 7 with this photograph. Does this woman stand there all day in this pose working the streets? Oh wait, never mind. This is a chair in the shade when these two girls must have switched stations when they got tired. Can you imagine driving one of those Google Map cars? The thing that these drivers see on a daily basis is you gotta question life. You just gotta question things. But you know what? They must have so many interesting stories. Oh, remember that time when I saw... Our next creepy image brings us to number 6. This is creepy because they look like they've been driving all through the desert searching for the Google Maps truck so they could just do this. I mean, look at this woman right here. She's so proud, smiling and waving at the camera, and then you have this man who appears to be drinking beer while he's doing this. This is just so awkward on so many different levels. Alright, now making our way into number 5, we have a lovely horse enjoying a banana? I don't know what compels people to buy these creepy horse masks, but it needs to stop right now. He even took things further by setting up a fancy table with a floral tablecloth and pink flamingos in the background. This is one of the fanciest and high maintenance horse ever. Coming into number 4 spot with this image that was captured by Google in Detroit. Their faces are blurred in order to protect their identities because I'm assuming they're underage. But if you look closely, you can see one of them is holding a gun. I guess whatever they're doing in that house, they either need someone to keep watch or they don't want Google Maps to take any more pictures. I wouldn't want to be this neighbor. And things get even more strange at number 3. We have your average, typical, everyday man jumping out of a trunk naked. But seriously, what is going on here? Is he a hostage who is trying to escape from people who captured him? Is this from a movie? I think this is real. I honestly think this is real. It could be real. Okay, maybe I'm doubting myself now. And then there's a dog laying on the ground without a care in the world. Now at number 2, we have this old man enjoying himself. So this poor old man thought he was in the privacy of his own backyard, but wow, was he ever wrong. Google Maps does not care about your privacy, clearly. I don't want to go in too much detail because this is such a weird and awkward picture. I actually would be surprised if he was on a corner lot with no fencing and he just wanted this to become public. Maybe his intentions, maybe it wasn't. But finally at number 1, we have this very creepy image. I really hope this is fake or those are only toy guns because a lot of people have actually died while playing around with these real guns, and these kids look like they're under the age of like 5 years old. They wouldn't even know what a gun is. I wouldn't want this to end in a bad situation. They should be playing with other kids with friendlier toys instead of these highly dangerous and unsafe weapons that can clearly kill people and even accidentally, people are killing themselves with it.